All right, thanks for hopping in for a quick trade review. So this is March 13th. I haven't done a lot of these lately, uh, and I need to get better about doing them. So, gonna talk about what we were looking at coming into the day, how the day developed, and how I executed on it. So coming into the day, one of the main things that we look at every day in advance of trading in the morning prep is we're gonna always take a look at TPO, right? And coming into the day, the two main things we were looking at was the overnight auction and the current and the prior day. So looking at the prior day, the range pretty wide. Overnight auction peaked that high and pulled back in. We talked about the fact that this activity had with it some trappy vibes since we barely traded above, pulled back below the high of prior day, and then we were trading kind of back into value and back in that range, right? So the areas we were watching was what could we do with value area mid from the prior day, right? So 18,413 was kind of a key spot. It's also overnight low. Really interested in if this were to rebid. So if we traded above and then caught bid from 413, we would want to see acceptance back inside 436 and trade higher. So that was one scenario that we talked about. The scenario I think that we executed on and that we were looking at was this, or at least partly executed on, and we kind of faded part of this idea as well. The other thing that we were looking at is point of control from a volume standpoint and a TPO standpoint was right here between 95 and 400. A lot of times we'll find a key spot like that and we'll treat that as a pivot for the day, or at least for like the morning, right? For the first part of the trading activity. So, value area mid, this is TPO point of control from prior day, value area low from prior day, 334.75, and 290 was the close on like the prior. It was a prior close up in this general range. So watching closing prices as like a guide, right? So that's what we were looking at coming into the day. And you can see, and you obviously the auction just kind of rolled over, caught a bottom, pushed back up. So what am I looking at on this chart? A couple things on this chart. It's an hourly chart coming into the day. We defined this range. Okay. So let me grab my little epic pin here. So we defined the range both from a value balance standpoint on the TPO chart. Then we also want to look at rotation. So, for instance, we would look at this range here. It's about 240 points. Okay, so from 225 to 468. If you look at the volume, the bulk of the volume that we've done is kind of in the bottom half of this range, and this midline kind of separates this range. This isn't exactly the swing low or the swing high. This is just a method um, that we use to kind of organize. So there's obviously another range above this that we'd be looking to trade. That would be roughly breaking out of value area high from a 20-day standpoint, which is right here. So, anyways, coming into the day, we took this range and we divided it up into smaller sections. So we said this is pivotal, this is pivotal, this is pivotal. We also had some of our trend following work showed that this area was important for a trend break. So if we were going to break this uptrend, then we were going to need to see an hour close candle below 290. So we need to see this candle close down here to kind of break the trend, and then we want to see continuation through an interaction with this area. Ideally, executing from like the edge of a range and then trying to scale along the way. And I mean, in a perfect world, having the mindset of trading down. So for this, we were looking at this open somewhere in here when we opened today. I don't remember the opening price exactly, but it was in this candle. We drove straight down, right, all the straight down to kind of this key spot and this kind of range mid, like a lower third. So we got these next couple areas. So as we push down in here, we rolled up, came into this key spot. You can kind of see from a volume standpoint, volume profile standpoint, this is major. If you look at the delta that was accumulated here in this area, it's pretty substantial for the day. And then this area produced the opportunity to be trading to the short side for that next rundown this afternoon. I actually traded part of this, moved back up. I had some, I was having some issues with Sierra this morning that didn't allow me to trade off the open. So we'll jump over here and look at the executions. Again, nothing fancy, kind of a standard day, I guess, if you will. But it just kind of paints a picture of, okay, how do you guys approach the day? How do you plan for it? And then how do you execute on it? So 9:30 open, we opened again, you'll see kind of a similar setup. So this big range is simply this range off the hourly, right? This is range high. And then inside of that range high is this kind of key area between 58 and 76. And then another key area between 78 and 96. Okay. And so we opened up here. It would have been a great downside trade OR break. We rolled all the way down, traded into that key area, found a bounce. But what was interesting to me is we did not go here and take all of these wicks out. And it seemed like that OR high would have been prime for that. So when we failed there, that gave me like first inclination when we kind of pushed up into here and didn't really pick up the pace. The second thing I thought that I was looking for is on TPO, that 334 value area low from this day that we hadn't interacted with was down in this area. So we'll just draw a little box. So really kind of watching for, how are we going to interact with this value area low, right, from this prior day. All right. So as we traded down in there, I didn't really want to reshort right here. I would have actually reshorted below. But, interacting with this value area low, I wanted to see, do we accept back in? And then we have to clear this for success. So when we failed into here with really aggressive delta, which is what that candle shows, we rolled back over again, trying to figure out how are we going to negotiate this midline 346, right? Kind of dead in the middle of this range that we've been trading in for the last little bit, right? If we look at this as generally the range high and this is generally the range low, got this midline here at 346. And so we got our two intermediate targets, 97 to 15, 78 to 96, pictured here in yellow. It's just a similar way to keep it all organized. So we traded that value area low, rolled up. When we failed up here, this would have been a great entry short, but I wasn't convinced that the bid side was done, but I wasn't convinced enough of the bid side to join it either. So I was still on hands. We trade all the way back down. This is a missed entry for me. A rebid of a high delta area and a key like line in the sand spot. So this trade from 315 back up to 334, which would have been value area low from prior day, and 346, and then maybe running for 378. That's a missed trade opportunity. I'm not really sure what I was or wasn't doing there. But we get to right here. Once we bid back up, now we're inside of this value area low. And I'm at this point thinking, okay, buyers come in, aggressive sell, aggressive bid, aggressive sell. And then it didn't really take that much of a bid for this move back up. And so being above this value area low and being above this midpoint, I thought, let's bid this. So put a couple contracts on, pretty tight stop. Put two more or three more contracts on, and then my line in the sand was, if we get going below this little section of swing lows right here, I did not anticipate value area lows being supportive, and a move back down into this area was on deck. So I was ready to flip the trade basically. Like, this is my long short line in the sand for the afternoon. So we traded below. I put a couple contracts on, scaled one into just ahead of these 15s, which was my target, and then added another here at 32 when we traded back up into 34, which was value area low from TPO, and we failed to get anything going. Added another right in here, and then when we traded below 315, below these lows, I added one more. Now the trade idea on these ads coming back down through here, this would have been about 11:30, so right in here, this was a trade that came from right in here down. What I was looking for is a move through this hourly wick low and this hour candle closing below 290. Remember, we were talking about hopefully losing that trend. All things were kind of there, losing value area low, losing the midline, trading back down into the low of this range without trading any really taking out a substantial swing high. A lot of stuff was in favor of that, right? But so we start scaling into this low, right, into new lows, which is a great place to scale another chunk of the position. Actually, the bulk of it had one runner on, and then just had my stop slightly above this 315, thinking if we get traction back above 315, we probably roll up and challenge these highs again. So again, executing in places where I have some contextual awareness and kind of range awareness and rotational awareness. So once we trade back above this 315, right, this key spot, then I'm looking to bid this. So I literally stop out there. As soon as we pull back to 315, I get long. I scalp part of the trade. I think I got mixed up on my math because I traded to 24, but I intended to trade this back to value area low at 34. I just didn't have this box on and wasn't paying much attention to the TPO chart at this point. So that was an early scale. It was like a 10 or 12 point scale, which was silly, but whatever. Should have been 20, but mistakes happen. And then I think I scaled the other one. Oh yeah, so traded back up to here, and then let the other one run to trade all the way back up to 78, on the way back up into this area. So this trade came off of here, and then being so short down to here, and then picking up longs here, trading back up to this edge of this swing high, and where I thought we might struggle a little bit. So those are my trades. Again, the logic behind them, I think I've explained decently well. You don't have to be perfect or clean or tidy. This ended up being like a 9.5 hour day. Nothing super special. I didn't trade a lot of size. Tried to lean in where I thought there was a big opportunity. Trading back against an opening range move down, and kind of the weight of, the way that we had traded to that point, wanted to trade the other direction a little bit lighter. So that's why I just grabbed a couple. But anyways, hopefully you find this helpful. If you kind of like this explanation, awareness, I mean, there was other things that went into all of this, but at the end of the day, I just wanted to throw this out there for you. Hopefully you find it helpful, and check us out in the Discord. We're running a new set of rates. Go to vantatrading.com. And you can check all that out. New website, new rates for the Discord. We have a free side. A lot of our YouTube content, if you've stumbled upon it, is also free. So would love for you to come hang out, do a free trial. Appreciate you. Have a good rest of your day or morning or night whenever you happen to be watching this.